to the highlight, the most awaited moment of this lovely celebration, and that is let's all put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
ස්තුතියි ඉෂානි පෙරේරා ඔබට ස්තුතියි කරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමියනි ඔබතුමීට ඒ වගේම මේ අවස්ථාවට සැපමින අපට මේ ගෞරවනීය දායකත්වය ලබා දුන් අපගේ කරු අමාත්‍ය විජිත හේරත් මැතිතුමනි බොහෝ ඉල්ලීම් තිබෙනවා ඔබතුමාගෙන් කෙටි අදහස් දැක්වීමක් හෝ ලබා ගන්නට ඕනි කියලා
Ladies and gentlemen, let's all put our hands together one more time. A big round of applause to all the very well-deserved winners.
Stand before you today on this important occasion of celebrating International Women's Day 2025 as we reflect on the progress made, the challenges ahead, and our collective responsibility to create a future where every woman and girl can thrive. This year's global theme for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment, is a powerful reminder that gender equality is not a privilege, but a fundamental right. It calls on us to break barriers, uplift voices, and ensure that no woman or girl is left behind. Regardless of her socio-economic status, educational qualification, religion, ethnicity, disability, or any other identity, all women and girls need to be protected and have their rights protected. Sri Lanka has a long history of strong and resilient women shaping our nation. I'm sure many of you are here today in this audience as well. Countless women have led changes in politics, business, and social movements, demonstrating the transformative impact of women's leadership. The Sri Lankan government has strengthened its commitment to women's empowerment through various policies and programs. The Women's Empowerment Act of 2024 established a new legal protections and an independent National Commission on Women, which we are just putting together, marking a significant step towards institutionalizing gender equality, and the government is in the process of appointing the commissioners. The National Action Plan on Women's Economic Empowerment focuses on increasing women's participation in the workforce by supporting entrepreneurship and digital financial literacy programs for rural women, plus many other programs implemented by line ministries that have been tasked with economic upliftment of women and the entire nation. The new budget passed yesterday includes several measures to support and empower women and girls through economic opportunities, education and healthcare. Yet, while we recognize these achievements, we must also acknowledge that there is still much to be done. Women's participation in leadership, decision-making and the economy remains disproportionately low. As of 2025, only 10% of parliamentary seats are held by women, a figure that must change if we are to have truly representative governance. And that is after we double the figure of number of women in parliament, we are still just touching 10%. We must ensure more women in leadership, whether in politics, boardrooms, or community decision-making spaces. Women's labour force participation in paid work remains at 32% compared to 72% for men, highlighting the need for stronger policies that enable work-life balance and access to childcare. Personally, I really don't think there's anything called work-life balance. That's impossible. It sets up an impossible target for women, saying you can do everything. I think all of us acknowledge that we cannot do everything. What we need is our more supportive families and communities that enable us to do what we wish to do and that accept us with our failings and accept the fact that we are not perfect. I think it's embracing these imperfections that will make a more supportive environment for women rather than expecting women to strive for some impossible level of perfection. To make these efforts truly effective, women's unpaid care work must be recognized and valued. Gender-based violence and discrimination continue to affect countless lives, requiring urgent legal and social reforms. Sri Lanka's journey towards gender equality is not one we undertake alone. As a nation committed to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Goal 5, gender equality, we recognize that true empowerment is interconnected with global efforts. This is why Sri Lanka continues to work closely with international partners, collaborating with the UN to implement gender-responsive policies, strengthening ties with feminist movements across South Asia to share strategies and best practices and support initiatives that empower women in STEAM, entrepreneurship, and political leadership. By ensuring women have tools to lead in a rapidly evolving world, we contribute not only to their empowerment, but also to the development of our nation as a whole. The United Nations Association of Sri Lanka has been a strong advocate for women's rights, ensuring that international commitments translate into real change at the grassroots level. The work done by civil society organizations, activists, and community leaders in bridging policy with action is indispensable. It is through these partnerships that policies become realities and commitments turn into meaningful progress. International Women's Day 2025 carries the theme, Accelerate Action. This theme emphasizes the urgency of advancing gender equality and calls for swift, decisive measures to address systemic barriers and biases affecting women globally. As we celebrate International Women's Day 2025, we must move beyond words and commit to concrete actions. We stand at a critical juncture where hard-won gains in gender equality are being systematically rolled back across the globe. From legislative setbacks to regressive policies, we will witness a resurgence of patriarchal control that threatens the rights, freedoms, and safety of women and marginalized communities. The burden of this rollback is disproportionately borne by women and others already at the margins. In this context, the United Nations has an urgent responsibility to move beyond rhetoric and take decisive action. It must hold states accountable, push for legally binding commitments, and ensure that international mechanisms protect those who are most vulnerable. Gender justice is not just an optional agenda, it is fundamental to democracy, human rights and social transformation. The road to gender equality is long, but together we can accelerate change. The empowerment of all women and girls is not just about justice, it is about building a stronger, more inclusive and more prosperous Sri Lanka for everyone. As I extend my wishes to all of you, I celebrate your remarkable achievements. I see many women here who have done great things and who have done much for our country. So it is with great pride that I am here with you today. I celebrate your achievements and your dedication. Congratulations to all the award winners who are going to be celebrated today. May your success inspire many more to break barriers and create lasting change. Thank you very much.
To be a good mother, to be a good grandmother, to be a good sister. There's so much that's expected from us. And what I want to say is that every single one of us here in this room have our stories. We have stories of resilience, stories of strength, stories where we decide we are not going to give up on ourselves. And that's a lesson I had to learn. I actually would have spent my life shrinking if I didn't have a very powerful experience. I think I learned how to live the day I thought I almost died. So when I was 21 years old, I had a huge pain in my stomach and I didn't know what was happening. I could barely breathe. So this started at 9 in the morning. By about 11 p.m. at night, they finally found out that I needed to have emergency surgery. And at this point, I was lying down in bed and my father just looked at me. And I could not see him. I could not see him at all. And the pain was excruciating. And I thought, this is it. This is the moment I die. And honestly, I welcomed it. I was in so much pain. And I just remember looking at my dad and I just said, I love you. I just need this to end. And I passed out. I thought that was it for me. But God was kind. He gave me a second chance. I actually opened up my eyes again. They had rushed me into emergency surgery and I survived, my organs survived. And that's when I learned how to live. You see, I had spent so much of my life trying to please everybody, being afraid of being judged, being afraid to be who I truly am. And what I felt, my opinions, I didn't want to look stupid. I was afraid people would judge me. But then I realized at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, all you think of, they say life flashes before your eyes. Let me tell you, it wasn't my life, it was the regrets that I had. It was the regrets that haunted me. And at that time, my biggest regret was not kissing a boy. So I was 21 years old. So I remember I was thinking, why? Why was I so afraid to live, to be alive, to put myself out there? What's the worst that can happen if we take a chance on ourselves? What is the worst? We fail. Failure is our best teacher, and that's what I have learned. So I learned to live through that. And then I've had a journey where I really wanted to know myself. I was reading this book called The 4 Agreements. And in it, it tells us how much of our lives and how much of our personality is not actually even truly ours until we question it. We all have these beliefs. If I ask you, who are you? What a hard question to answer. Who are you? And then you say, oh, this is me, this is my job, this is my career, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And we have this list that we've already made. Most of the time, it's subconsciously made. We haven't consciously chosen who we want to be. Because sometimes we feel we don't have that choice, nor do we have that power. So in this book, it was giving an example of this little kid who was singing, he was like 5 years old, singing at the top of his lungs. And then his mom comes home with a migraine. And then, so she's trying to listen, but he's like singing. And at one point, she just screams at the kid and says, "Can you stop? My head's about to explode." So at this split second, what does this child do? He makes a belief. He actually makes an agreement with himself. And he says, he or she, they say, "That's it. My voice hurt my mother. I can't sing." So then, fast forward 20 years. Now, he or she is 25 years old. And they're with their friends going to a karaoke joint. And everyone's like, "Sinduak kiyanna." She's like, no. I can't sing to save my life. I'll listen to you sing. So now if I ask this person, "What do you do? Who are you?" "Oh, I can't sing to save my life." That became one of the associations that they've made with their personality. But then now if you think about this association was unconsciously made because his or her mother yelled at him as a kid. But did he ever try singing? Probably not. Did he want to sing? Probably in the bathroom, like all of us. You know, most of us, we are the freest in the bathroom. You know, we are actors, we're singers, we're dancers in the bathroom. We are our true selves there. So it's time to bring that bathroom self to the world because we are here for a purpose. It's time for us to question, why do I believe this about myself? When did I start believing this? Is it true? I've had a very long journey these past 2-3 years. I've been in therapy trying to figure out exactly that. Who is Stephanie? And I think one thing I've realized is that there's so much childhood trauma, you know, and that not just comes from our parents and our families, it comes from our society, it comes from our communities, it comes from our culture, from the expectations put on us. The insecurities sometimes eat us. But I'm here to tell you today that every single one of you are here. You're victorious in your story. You overcame your challenges. It's time to truly shine at your brightest. And it's not easy. It's not easy to learn about ourselves. Facing ourselves is the hardest thing to do. To believe in ourselves is the hardest thing to do. To love ourselves. It took me 37 years to love myself. I'm getting emotional, but it is so important. So my ask to you, actually, before that I'd like to share an analogy, the analogy of a snowflake. Have you all seen a snowflake? Or at least a picture of a snowflake? Yes, I'm sure you have. A snowflake is so perfect, right? Can we imagine right now how many snowflakes are in this world? Just a number. Any numbers? Billions? You know? Multiple billion, trillions? So many. We can't even count them in Canada, in the US, in Antarctica. Right now it's winter. So now when we think about this perfect snowflake that is so beautiful, right? How long do you think its lifespan is? 4 seconds? 5 seconds? It goes from the sky, falls to the ground, and it melts, right? So now do you know that no two snowflakes are the same? Can you believe it? Our Creator, right, has made this tiny, insignificant snowflake so perfect, so beautiful, and no two snowflakes in this entire world are the same. So if our Creator puts so much perfection in such a tiny, insignificant snowflake, let me ask you, how perfect are you? How wonderful are you? How fearfully and gorgeously are you made? You are all here for a reason. You are here for a purpose. And there's only one you in this entire universe. As much as I try to be Umari, as much as I try to be Yohani, as much as I try to be anybody else, I will always fail. Because I am meant to be me. And they can never be me. So my ask to you is really find out how perfect you are, how wonderful you are, how powerful you are, and you can change the world. You can. I always say, I know it's a little morbid, but I always say, if Adolf Hitler, that one person, could do so much damage to the world, why can't one person turn it around and make this world the most beautiful place we have ever seen? You have that power, and thank you so much. I'm truly honored to be here with you this morning.
You're watching the Life Traveller channel.